But the only man who wins is the one who stops playing. Not everyone survives it. Some men spend their whole lives rewriting the same scene, hoping for a different ending. You called it heartbreak, but it was really awakening, because there was never an audience. Only a man talking to his own echo, hoping it would one day talk back. Now the theater is empty, the spotlight is off. The costume lies on the floor, and no one is clapping. And neither was she not the version you loved. That version only lived inside the story you told yourself, because you were too afraid to confront your own unfinished self. You built the stage, scripted the lines, lit the candles and begged for magic. But magic is not real. Now there is no one left to blame. Not her, not the world, not love itself. Only you and the role you forced her to play. She never took anything from you. She just stopped pretending. That wasn't love ending. That was illusion collapsing. And the moment she stopped reflecting your fantasy, the spell broke. She wasn't the woman of your dreams. She was the mirror of your wounds. You never saw her, not truly. You saw your need, your lack, your unresolved hunger. You play the lover. She plays the dream. And when the dream wakes up, you run. Or worse, you blame her for no longer sleeping. But becoming is the only way forward. And until you do, every relationship will be performance art. You seek women the way children seek fairy tales as escape from the weight of becoming. This is the core of your ruin. You don't love reality. You love roles, archetypes, narratives. And what stood before you was a woman not your salvation. The dream collapsed. The goddess bled. The mask slipped. And so you'll say she broke your heart, but it was your fantasy that broke. You miss feeling like a man without having to earn it. You miss the illusion of strength she mirrored back to you. And that's the sickness you carry now. You don't miss her. You miss the part of yourself that felt complete in her presence. And yet, you say she changed. No, you simply saw her too late. The moment she became real, she became disposable. You weren't in love with her. You were in love with silence, with compliance, with comfort. And when she stopped hiding, the truth came into the room. But she wasn't hiding it to deceive you. She was hiding it to be loved by you. When she showed you her real self, her chaos, her edges, her resentment, her unmet needs, you felt betrayed. But women are not gods. They are not therapists. They are not muses. They are not medicine for broken men. You weren't in love. You were in worship. And she, whether consciously or not, enjoyed the altar until it demanded she remain divine. You mistook that performance for essence. You thought you had discovered something rare. But what you discovered was your own projection reflected back to you with a smile. And she played the part at first. Sweet, soft, attentive, fragile, but understanding. Deep, but not too deep. Intelligent, but never challenging. Loving, but never demanding. She was never yours. She was never meant to be. She was the screen you projected your unfinished story onto. And when the illusion cracked, it wasn't her you mourned. It was your role as the man you never became. You didn't love her. You loved who she pretended to be for your sake, for your fantasy, for your need to be saved without ever becoming a savior. And the moment she deviated, the moment her lines became real and messy and human, you called it betrayal. But it wasn't betrayal. It was truth. She didn't audition, you cast her. She didn't write the script, you handed it to her. It was the image, the part she played in the movie playing in your head. You swore it was love. You wept over it. You wrote poems. You blamed fate. You said she changed. But if you strip the sentiment, the theater, the sacred vocabulary, what you really loved wasn't her. And when she does, you're left with the same silence, the same ache, the same script in your hand. But the audience is gone. The curtain has fallen, and still you wait for the next actress. You don't want her. You want the story she lets you tell yourself until she refuses to play her part. You don't want to love. You want to escape from your failure, from your mediocrity, from your fear of being alone. And you've been paying in cycles. Every woman becomes the stage for your unresolved need. And so, once again, your world collapses. You say you're unlucky in love, but it's not luck, it's law. The law of the psyche illusions demand payment. But she isn't cold, she's honest. She refuses the role you wrote for her. You project salvation. She mirrors back judgment. You feel seen. She feels pressure. You promise loyalty. She feels imprisoned. Then, when she pulls away, you call her cold. And until you kill the myth, every woman becomes another illusion. But the real you hasn't been built yet. The real you is still buried beneath years of unearned longing. Scene by scene, gesture by gesture. You even use the same lines, she's so different. I can be myself around her. She sees the real me. You won't, because you're not playing a new game. You're reenacting the same play. Not for sex, for the lie. The lie that this time, it won't hurt. This time, it will heal. This time, you will be enough. So you go back to the apps, to the DMs, to the chase. You say you're tired of pain, but pain is the only thing that makes you feel alive. You confuse suffering with significance. You mistake longing for love. You learn by burning. You will repeat the pattern because repetition is your religion. But you won't see it. Not yet. Because men like you don't learn by thinking. If she's cruel, she'll weaponize it. And if she's honest, she'll leave. And if she's wise, she will feed it until she can't. You tell yourself she sees you, but what she sees is your hunger. You want permission to remain incomplete, and so you dress your new obsession in philosophical language. This isn't love, it's spiritual laziness. You don't want a partner, to be admired without being tested, to be chosen without becoming worthy. You said it's different this time, but your longing is still the same, to be loved without being forged. You haven't changed, you've recycled, you renamed your delusion hope, and when she stops smiling, when she demands strength you don't have, you will crumble again and call it betrayal. But you don't want real, you want relief. A new actress to play the same old role, savior in disguise, goddess in flesh, mother in lingerie, same stage, new curtain. You say she's not like the others. You say you've found someone real, one who will love without calculation. You pretend you've awakened, but you've only re-scripted the fantasy. One who will stay soft, one who won't test your masculinity, won't measure your purpose, won't see through your cracks. Not the woman, the myth. That somewhere, somehow, there is one who will be different. You learn nothing, that's the truth. You wept, cursed, journaled your heartbreak into poetry, screamed into podcasts about female nature, and still deep down you clung to the myth. Now you know, and knowing doesn't heal, it burns. But in that fire, something else is possible, not repair, rebirth. And no woman, no matter how loving, can carry that burden without eventually dropping it. She looked into you and saw a man asking her to be the meaning of his life. You were not rejected because you were too good. You were rejected because you were too hollow. That is what growing up means. Not aging, not experience, but the violent severance of self-pity. You cut it out, like a tumor. You stop waiting to be chosen, and instead choose a direction so ruthless that even your past self wouldn't dare follow, where you stop hoping for unconditional love and start forging unconditional discipline. The path of internal reconstruction, where you stop asking to be seen, where you stop needing to be understood. But there is another path, brutal, thankless, and silent. You mistook being wanted for being worthy, and when the wanting stopped, you crumbled. And maybe some are, but that is not why you broke. You broke because you built your identity on being desired. Most will run. They will blame women. They will call them liars, manipulators, hypergamous whores. You can confront your weakness or chase another woman who will pretend not to see it. This is the fork in the road, the place where men either grow up or decay. You can swallow the bitter truth or keep drinking the sweet poison. No self, no mission, no frame, just a memory of her love and a graveyard of fantasies. You were the one hoping to be healed by her approval, and when it was gone, you had nothing, because now you see you were not the strong one. She withdrew not because she was cruel, but because she couldn't respect what she had to mother. And when she left, you collapsed. Not from heartbreak, from exposure. You dressed this up as romance, but it was regression, and she saw it. Maybe not in words, but in the weight of your eyes, the passivity of your touch, the way you held her not as a man claiming a partner, but as a boy clinging to shelter. Someone who would not question your mission because you didn't have one. Someone to soothe the ache you refused to name. You thought you wanted a woman, but you really wanted safety, a kind voice, a warm gaze, someone to love you without scrutiny. The mask of your boyhood longing, your need for a mother in a lover, your desire to be chosen without earning it. This is the moment most men shatter, the point at which the mask falls, not hers, but yours. You gave her godhood and then wept when she acted human. But she was never your dream. She was a woman playing a role, one you assigned and she accepted until she didn't. That she never saw you the way you saw her. That your love was never symmetrical. That the pedestal you built became your own prison. And you are not broken because she left. You are broken because the truth finally caught you. The truth you spent your entire romantic life outrunning. You thought pain was proof of love. That heartbreak meant you had loved well, deeply, truly. But pain is not proof, it's punishment for illusion. You prayed for a woman who'd surrender to your soul. She prayed for a man who'd never make her need to. And if you don't understand this, you're not in love. You're in captivity. Whoever loves less holds the power. Whoever waits longer sets the pace. Whoever can leave controls the one who can't. Love, at its core, is not a dream. It is a deal, a silent one, a contract signed in glances and gestures, and the terms always change. And when she left, you said she changed. She didn't. She simply no longer needed to act. You offered your future. She weighed it against her alternatives. You misread her patience for virtue. It was calculation. She knew that leverage lies in restraint, so she became restraint. She watched how men give everything and then beg, how they love deeply and become disposable. You gave more hoping it would be returned. She held back, knowing giving too much too soon forfeits power. You believed in mutual sacrifice, but what you called sacrifice was often negotiation. And you didn't want her surrender, you wanted the illusion of it. You wanted to believe you'd earned it. She doesn't want your surrender if she can't use it. It is a balance of power, of fear, of desire, of control. Because love, in its rawest form, is not unconditional. You didn't love her. You loved what she performed, and she let you. The supportive partner. All masks designed not to deceive you maliciously, but to survive within your fantasy. The passionate lover, the innocent temptress. She crafted the perfect persona for your tastes. The wounded girl. Love, to you, was the removal of armor. To her, it was the crafting of it. Every day, with every choice, with every smile timed like a chess move. No, it was politics, and you never voted. She did. And you, in your naivety, called her mysterious. You thought the ambiguity was poetry, to hint instead of ask, to suggest instead of demand. So she learned to speak in half-truths, to cry without breaking. She saw what truth earned them abandonment, shame, punishment. You thought love meant honesty, but she watched what honesty cost other women. So she gave just enough to keep your thirst alive. You thought that was love. It wasn't. It was leverage. She understood that what is abundant loses value. Supply and demand. You were hooked not because she loved you, but because she knew when to withhold it. You mistook this for emotion. It was economics. She was managing the market of your desire. Too warm, and she grew distant. Too cold, and she suddenly reappeared. You didn't notice the way her affection became a thermostat. Not because she was unsure, but because you were. You gave her consistency. She gave you uncertainty. You gave her your heart. She gave you her presence and measured your response. But what she brought wasn't surrender. It was strategy. Love, as you imagined it, was fiction. A spiritualized contract where equality reigned and both parties came with open hands. No one lays down arms without measuring the terrain, but no one surrenders without calculating the risk. Two souls meeting in the middle, casting off masks, shedding ego, choosing each other freely. You thought love was pure, a sacred surrender. She wants to become the predator, and intuition is how she hunts now. But here's the truth you weren't ready for. She doesn't want to be prey anymore. And in a world of predators, that is what keeps prey alive. She doesn't feel more deeply than you. She feels faster. Her intuition, the thing you worship, is not a halo. It's a shield. And sometimes, a dagger. Not out of cruelty, out of necessity. You were in a romance. She was in a reconnaissance. You gave her your soul. She gave you just enough of hers to keep you offering more. While you fantasized about spiritual union, she assessed leverage. While you looked for truth, she looked for threat. While you tried to impress, she evaluated safety, status, and future options. You thought love was a place to rest, but for her, it was always a place to survive. She doesn't need to crush you. She only needs to let you crush yourself, and you will. She learns your rhythm, your flaws, your pressure points, and when the moment comes, she doesn't need to shout. A glance will suffice, a gesture, a withdrawal. She keeps her knowing hidden behind a veil of charm, humor, or silence, because once you know what she knows, the game changes. So she hides it, not to honor you, but to study you. She detects power leaks the way wolves smell fear, and she will not tell you what she knows, because the power of her perception depends on your ignorance of it. That doesn't mean she's irrational. It means she doesn't wait for the story. She feels the energy, the posture, the hesitation, your delay in speaking, your eagerness to please. You think you're the rational one. You pride yourself on logic. But she feels things before you understand them. That's what you call feminine instinct. But it's not instinct. It's trauma passed down as skill. Her intuition isn't magic. It's memory. It remembers every betrayal her mother endured. It remembers what charm buys. It remembers what compliance costs. It remembers the tone of voice a man used right before he showed his true face. But these are performances, adaptive strategies. In a world where brute strength was denied to her, she became strong through invisibility, not because she is evil, but because she is awake. You misread her grace as goodness, her listening as love. Her kindness is often a test, her softness an angle, her attention a currency. You thought she was nurturing by nature, but nature doesn't nurture, it calculates. She smiles as she senses your hunger. She nods as she scans your spine for breakage. You see a muse. She sees a map. Her intuition isn't mystical, it's a weapon. It tracks dominance, smells weakness, and knows when to submit, when to seduce, when to retreat, and when to strike. Not because she was gifted, because she had to be. Vulnerability taught her vigilance. She had no sword, so she became a mirror. She learned to read your tone before you finished your sentence. She could feel the temperature of a room faster than you could name your own emotion. You called it women's wisdom, bowed to it, feared it, romanticized it. But intuition is not some sacred oracle. It is a survival mechanism sharpened over centuries of powerlessness. You thought her intuition was divine, mysterious, holy, a spiritual sensitivity whispered by the cosmos, beyond your masculine logic. She takes it, not by permission, but by instinct, not by justice, but by nature. She doesn't, she never did. She wants power, and in a world where you hesitate, you brought compromise to a stage that demanded conquest, and now you sit bewildered, still believing she wants what you want. Equality was your illusion, not hers. You wanted peace between the sexes. She thrives in war. Her smile is not agreement. Her silence is not reverence. Her intuition, not a gift from the heavens, a compass forged in chaos, calibrated to power. She feels who can break her and who will beg. A hierarchy to rise within, a master to resist, a throne to seduce, not share. You thought she would admire your gentleness. She pitied it. You offered balance. She longed for imbalance. She does not want your fairness. She does not crave your equality. She wants what bleeds, what bows, what burns.